My name is Langshur, and I work with PublicInsite. I'm also the co-chair of the Metrics Marketing Optimization Summit in Toronto this year.
Great. I was wondering if you could tell us, how do measurement and measurement goals for a nonprofit or a government differ from those of a commercial site?
Well, the fundamental difference in most cases with respect to a nonprofit and a commercial site is there's a lack of a shopping cart. So you're not asking people to work their way through a typical shopping cart process and then go into a checkout. So in a public sector organization, really the goal of the site is to inform, communicate, and engage, pass a message. And in those cases, what you really have to understand, what you're trying to do is you're trying to understand whether or not people are working their way through your engagement strategy. Are they able to understand, find the information that you're putting up, the policy information, the content, what have you, navigate through it, and work their way through the various levels of content in such a way that you can measure and say, yes, this person actually found out about the policy, was able to understand the policy. If they had questions, there was recourse for them. So in a public sector organization, the goals are not about sales. The goals are about informing, communicating, engaging, and effecting generally behavioral change or societal change through some policies. In nonprofit organizations, it really kind of depends on the nature of the nonprofit. Nonprofits have they're either an association of individuals, professional association, or they may be an industry association, or they may be like the World Wildlife Fund. And in those cases, each one of them have very different goals. So measuring, I think the easiest way to talk about it is to say they have to go back to what their mission is. And if you can go right back to what that mission is, then you should be able to identify specific outcomes that you can then bake into the strategy of the site, the information architecture, the way the content is written, and measure against that. So since you're not just trying to sell a widget, you're really trying to see whether or not we've reached people, they liked what they read, they signed up for something, they forwarded a message to a friend, they came back again, they donated, they became a member, they opened an email on click. Those are the things that you're measuring. And the sum of those really is about whether or not you've pushed your mission forward.
Now, what are the best analytics tools out there for the public sector?
Well, the public sector is an interesting place because in a lot of public sector organizations they're not allowed to use cookies, or I wouldn't say they're not allowed, but cookies are frowned upon. And since that's a kind of fundamental requirement to having accuracy in your numbers, that kind of puts a roadblock. The other roadblock is, particularly in Canada, is that public sector organizations need to own their data. They can't really have their data housed somewhere else because that has potentially personally identifiable information on it,
right.
And so there are privacy considerations. So therefore, this creates problems for hosted solutions like Google Analytics or like Langshur or what have you. So you really have to go back to the log file-based systems or an Urchin system where you actually have the software installed on your servers. So it's a bit of a different kettle of fish when it comes to public sector organizations, and it's really driven by what is the requirements for privacy. So within that, there's a lot of good tools. Of course, there's WebTrends, it's the 800-pound gorilla in the public sector. Good tool. There's Unicanet Insight. There's Urchin's software solution. So you're looking at ones that people can basically shrimp wrap software and put on. But that's just from an analytics perspective, and analytics is both a dimension of quantitative and qualitative. And so when it comes to the qualitative dimension, which I think is really critical because that gets the issue of customer satisfaction, it gets the issue of perceptions. There's a couple of really good companies that provide fantastic tools, low perceptions, 4C results. So they're just kind of out there.
Could you give us an example of an organization that is doing measurement well through?
Sure. Yeah. Actually, we're We're working with a number of organizations, and I don't think it's simply because we're doing that, but I know that the Canada Revenue Agency is really kind of doing some interesting things on measurement, and of course they have to because there's so much of stuff that's going online, and so hats off to them. They really had a really strong initiative to go online. The British Columbia Centre for Disease Control has really engaged in a really fascinating way, using a lot of outreach through keywords and through measurement of that for social marketing efforts. Public Health Agency Canada is another one that's done some really interesting things, because they're all concerned about not just the post-click dimension of what's going on the site, but they're also concerned about the pre-click dimension. And the pre-click being if somebody's concerned about listeriosis, for example, or somebody's concerned about some outbreak of flu, avian flu, they are critically concerned that when they have that question, that they're going to find their resources online. So that whole pre-click dimension is something they're really thinking a lot about, and then understanding how that pre-click links up to the post-click, and then using that to drive policy decisions.
Fantastic. Thank you very much for your time.
You're quite welcome.